Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video we'll be doing the full review for this Redmi 2, which is a budget-oriented device from Xiaomi. And I have been testing this device as my secondary phone for almost 15 days now. And I would say it's a pretty good device for the price. In India, it's being sold for 7,000 via Flipkart, but I've heard that it will be soon available even on Amazon and Snapdeal. So it's not going to be exclusive any longer with Flipkart. And if you are a regular watcher of my videos, you'll notice that last year I reviewed the Redmi 1S, and I feel the form factor has improved with this Redmi 2. Though it has the same 4.7-inch 720p screen, but Xiaomi has managed to make it compact. Hence, it fits easily in a hand, and I would say it's a welcome move. The Redmi 2 was actually wider and longer compared to this Redmi 2. And let me give you a physical overview. On the top we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, and I'm happy to say that the audio output via the headphone jack is very good. We have the volume rocker. This is the power button, and we have an indent to open the back. The back cover can be opened, and one again welcome move is that now this is not glossy. Again, it's plastic, but it's not that glossy plastic. The rear facing camera is 8 megapixel shooter with LED flash, secondary noise cancellation microphone. This is the loudspeaker. Micro USB slot that will be used for charging, the main microphone, and nothing over this side. We also have a front-facing camera, which is actually a 2 megapixel shooter, and we have the earpiece. We also do have the auto brightness sensor on this device, and I'm happy to say that the cellular call quality that I got on this device was excellent. So it's very good for voice calls also. The screen is IPS grade screen, and as you can see, the viewing angles are nice with it, and it's a 720p HD screen. Moving towards the bottom, we have 3 touch type capacitive buttons, and if you press this once, you get to the multitasking. You can use this to switch between the apps, and you can also use this to kill the apps like this. We have the home button and we have the back button. If you hold this menu button also for a while, you get further options. For example, you can use this to add widgets, etc. And as this is a Xiaomi device, this runs on the MIUI. Let me actually show you. You can go here and click here, and if you go to about the device, as you can see, it's running on the MIUI 6 and is running over the Android version 4.4.4, that is KitKat. And regarding RAM, we have 1 gig of RAM with this version. Xiaomi also has mentioned that they might be releasing a 2 gig variant of this device later on sometime. But as of now, this is the 1 gig variant. And regarding internal storage, it has 8 gigs of internal storage. And I would say that's okay for most of the users. But if you're sort of a power user, then it might be an issue. Because though it has a SD card, I'll just show you that. Let me just open this. The back cover can be opened, but we cannot move the apps, entire apps directly to the SD card. And as you can see, we can add a micro SD card and we can add our 2 SIMs. And the good thing is that both the SIMs are 4G LTE enabled. So we have 4G LTE support. I did all my testing with just a single SIM, and in my area, we don't have any 4G. So I tested it on 3G. Regarding the battery, it's a 2200 milliamp hour battery. And I would say with a single SIM, it could easily last me for a full working day. And the good thing is that the standby time that I was getting with the battery was pretty good. But again, I can't comment how will it perform with 4G as I couldn't test it. Now, before we continue, let me give you a configuration overview. This device is powered by the Snapdragon 410 chipset, which is 64-bit enabled, and it's a quad-core processor clocked at 1.2 GHz. The GPU is the Adreno 306. It has 1 gig of RAM, 8 gigs internal storage, 8 megapixel rear-facing camera, and a 2 megapixel front-facing camera. And also the handset is not the lightest. It weighs 133 grams. But as I mentioned, it is very comfortable to hold in a single hand, and you can easily reach all parts of the screen with a single hand. So it's also easy to operate with a single hand. And these are the quick toggles over here. As I mentioned, you can customize this. And as I already mentioned, the sound output that I was getting with the headphone jack is also really nice. And that brings me to the speaker. The speaker output is also pretty loud. Let me actually show you. Another good thing I did notice is that this device does support USB OTG. You can just plug in a USB OTG drive like this or a USB OTG cable, and it should work. For example, now let me just access it. As you can see, it says the USB device was detected. You can just touch this and it should open. As you can see, we are on the internal storage, but from here we can go to the USB storage. And this is the USB OTG drive. For example, let me play some videos. Let me play this 1080p clip, and we'll use the MX player for this one. And we'll start over. And as you can see, the screen quality is very clear, good viewing angles, and I really like the sound output. Though it's a single speaker, it's actually pretty clear. Let me actually bring this sound meter to give you an idea. As you can see, if you place it down, it can go pretty loud. Even if you pick it up. So good sound output, I would say, and it's very clear. It's not jarring. And again, as I mentioned, the USB OTG functionality works out of the box. So that's also good to see. Let me just remove this USB OTG cable. And as we are connected, let's fire up the web browser. We already have the Google apps pre-installed, and we have the Chrome web browser and also the Xiaomi specific browser, but we'll just use the Chrome web browser. We also have the Google Play Store pre-installed, so you can easily install the apps. And this is TechMimi, and as you can see, we loaded the full version of this website, and it actually works pretty well. And this is the keyboard that we get. I'm using the swipe key, and it gives haptic feedback. You can install n number of keyboards. It gives you an option, and as you can see, pinch to zoom is also very responsive. Oops, I accidentally hit that key. Let's go back. And as you can see, it loads the web pages actually very quickly. So in terms of web browsing, it's very good. Another good thing is that, as I mentioned earlier, also the screen quality is actually pretty nice on this device. The whites look white, and even the viewing angle is actually very good. So you're getting a very good screen for the price of around 7,000 rupees. That's just around 120 US dollars. I also tested this device with some games, and I could play a lot of games. I did play games like Dead Trigger, Asphalt 8, and even Modern Combat 5. And it could play all the games without any issues. For the most part, the gameplay was very smooth. But one thing I did notice is that after installing very heavy games, we have very limited internal storage. So if you're sort of a big gamer, you got to be aware of the limitations of the internal storage. Now when we move to the camera, the rear facing camera is a 8 megapixel shooter. Let me bring some objects here, a couple of phones. And again, it's a Xiaomi specific camera. And as you can see, we do have that tap to focus. You can use that. And if you click, it takes the pictures. And I would say the camera performance is very good. And as you can see, we can also adjust the exposure like this. So we have that control. And I would say the camera performance is pretty decent. Let me show you some of the sample shots that I've taken with this device. So as you can see, the 8 megapixel camera is actually very good in outdoor lighting conditions. The picture quality is very nice, but I've noticed that it boosts the colors a little bit. But again, when we move to indoor lighting conditions, yes, it struggles up a little bit. But again, we can't complain considering the price point of this device, because many of the other devices in this price point even do a worse job. Moving to the front facing camera, which is a 2 megapixel shooter, here also I would say the camera performance was pretty decent. Not extraordinary, but I would say pretty decent. And the front facing camera can record video up to 720p. Some of you have also asked me about any heating issues that I've faced with this device, and I'm happy to say that I did not notice any major heating. Yes, with extended usage, the back gets a little bit warm, but it was not like anything like getting extremely hot or something like that. One place I did notice a minor lag is that sometimes in UI, when I used to unlock it, it takes some time to refresh, and if you do heavy multitasking and jump between the apps, sometimes it can take a second or two to react. But apart from that, for the most part, I would say the device performed actually pretty well in my opinion, and certainly it did a lot better job compared to the Redmi 1. Also, the battery life is an improvement over the Redmi 1. So to break it down, let me divide it between the pros and cons. The first thing that I really liked is this screen quality. The screen quality is very good, and when we talk about the cellular call quality, that was also excellent on this device. Also, it has the auto brightness sensor, and that also works as expected. And again, we have USB OTG support, so you can easily plug in USB OTG drives and use that. Also, the speaker is adequately loud and clear on this device. And lastly, I would say it has 4G LTE support. Now, if we talk about some of the cons with this device, the first thing is the limited internal storage. Yes, it might not be applicable for everyone, but if you're a sort of a heavy user, then you might encounter that. Also, the 1 GB of RAM, though it is sufficient for this device, if it would have 2 gigs, I would say in multitasking, it would have been a little bit more smoother. But considering the price point of around 7,000 rupees, that's just around US $120, this Redmi 2 is a very good device for that price. I've also posted other videos on this Redmi 2, so make sure you check them out. And if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. It's free to subscribe. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit and I hope to see you in my next video.